Hello everybody, this is Gregory with 5 Minute Catholic Apologetics, where 5 minutes of your time may get you to the divine. Today we're going to talk about whether it's appropriate to watch Sede, Vecantist or SSPX content. Now before we begin, let's start with a prayer. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritui Sancti, Amen. Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto, sic ut erat in principio et nunc et semper et in saecula saeculorum. Amen. A good compendium episode of this would be Traditionalists Worry Less About the Apostasy and More on Praying and Why I Do My Prayers in Latin. So, what is my answer to this? Now, this is just my personal opinion, but let's define some things. So, what is Sede Vecantist? So, Sedevacantism is the belief that we haven't had a valid pope since 1958, since Pope Pius XII died and prior to the election of St. John the 23rd. And the ushering in of Vatican Council II. So they believe that we've had essentially a series of anti-popes. Now, to be fair, we've had something like 40 anti-popes in the history of the church. These are normally men who've been elected pope when there is still a valid pope somewhere in the world. But either way. Now, SSPX are not Sede Vacantists. It's the Society of St. Paul X. Most would consider them to be a traditional Catholic society. They do have chapels or churches scattered throughout the world. They were spearheaded by Archbishop Lefebvre, and Lefebvre didn't really appreciate some of the modernist changes of Vatican II, in particular the Novus Ordo Mass, the ordinary Mass, the Mass in the vernacular. And when he died, his successors, and I should say that he got in some trouble with Rome because he ordained 4 bishops without the consent of the Vatican, and John Paul II excommunicated him and the society. But since then, the Vatican has been a little more lenient, and so they rescinded the excommunications, and now it's seen that the SSPX is just not in communion with Rome. But Francis, for example, has allowed SSPX people to use regular Catholic churches for their sacraments, so there has been this rapprochement. Either way, SSPX is not Sede Vacantist. If you go to a mass of theirs, which I have not, to be clear, I'm not Sede Vacantist, nor have I gone to an SSPX mass. They do pray for Pope Francis. They recognize Pope Francis as the Pope of the Church. They just don't agree with some of the modernist reforms. Either way, you will find Sede Vacantist content, and I'm not going to name particular names, content out there, whether it be podcast or YouTube. And SSPX has a YouTube channel and a podcast. And is it okay to listen to their content? Well, you can ask your priest what they think. I think as a whole, they would tell you no. Now, I would tell you this. I do listen to their content. And for example, SSPX has a very good YouTube channel. And when I mean very good, I don't mean very good because they're just bashing the post-Vatican II church. It's not that. Their catechesis, their videos on, let's say, the sacraments or on the history of the church is excellent. It's top-notch. They have priests who explain it very well, and it's so refreshing because these priests are all very young, and they do an excellent job. Now, if you go to the SSPX channel, they do have content. They have this Crisis in the Church series, as they call it, and there's probably like 50 episodes. And they do talk about like why they're not in communion with the Vatican and what ways that we can fix the crisis, because no one can deny we are in a crisis. The number of vocations has dropped, the number of sacraments has dropped, and so forth. So they're going to present things in their kind of the filter, their prism. But as a whole, the SSPX content, if you stay away from that content, is 90%, really it's 100% dead on. It's Orthodox Catholicism, Catholic teaching prior to 1962. Now, so I would give thumbs up. And I would even listen to the Crisis in the Church series, like can you go to an SSPX mass, all these things like this. I would go to learn. You don't have to agree with it. And we have that episode, Should Catholics Go to Protestant Bible Studies? I think if you're weak in your faith, you should not go to Protestant Bible Studies. And I guess you could say the same thing. If you're weak in your faith, maybe in mainstream Catholicism, maybe you shouldn't go to the Crisis in the Faith series that the SSPX website or the YouTube channel has. But aside from that, all their other channels content is fine. You're learning about the faith. It's like old Baltimore catechesis stuff. Sedevacantist. So the Sedevacantist content, I find, and again, I have to paint a broad swath. I would say some of their content, depending on you listen to, is very snarky. I know better than everybody. These people are morons, and so forth. There certainly is. There's some of those guys. I would say the largest Sedevacantist channel doesn't do that kind of stuff. Most of their content is exceedingly good. It's on history. It's on just regular Catholic old school teaching. Now, yes, they will have videos about why John Paul II is an anti-pope, or Benedict's an anti-pope, and false ecumenism and all these things, and some of the abuses of the Novus Ordo Mass and so forth. So you will find that content. But as a whole, you have to remember, Sedevacantist and the SSPX are traditional Catholic content. So it's not like German schism, synod of synodality kind of stuff. This is traditional stuff. So they're going to adhere to the centuries-old teaching, the moral teachings, and the ecclesial teachings of the church. They're going to be 100% aligned with the deposit of faith on everything. So I would tell you it's probably better to listen to Sedevacantist content and SSPX content than the more modernist-leaning YouTube channels out there, and certainly the newspapers that purport themselves to be Catholic. I would probably stay away from those and eschew those more than I would the SSPX and the Sedevacantist stuff. Now, again, this is my opinion. I am not Sedevacantist and SSPX, but I think there's a lot to learn from their content, because the large majority of their content isn't maligning the Pope. A lot of it is teaching people about the faith. And Lord knows we could all learn more about Holy Mother Church and its teachings. Guys, if you don't agree with me, please post in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Please hit the notification, subscribe, and share button. Share with like-minded people. Until next time, take care, God bless, and pray.